Dodge Dart, a car that is now synonymous with objectively mediocre build quality, lackluster performance, and styling inspired by the fishes at your local Petco. But what if I told you that was not always the case? What if I told you that in 1968 this one very special Dodge Dart was arguably the most insane performance car that money could buy? Interested? Then stick around to the end of this video to learn all there is to know about the absolutely mental 1968 Dodge Dart Hemi LO23. Welcome to Rare Cars. This is the channel where we break down the world's most fascinating performance vehicles and what makes them so unique. If you want to learn more about these insane vehicles like the Dodge Dart LO23 or even the Howmet TX jet car, hit that subscribe button because we have plenty more videos coming on the way. Now that being said, let's get back into the absolutely manic history of the 1968 Dodge Dart Hemi. To set the stage, we need to go through a brief history of the Dart leading up to this amalgamation of bald eagles and horsepower. In 1960, the Dodge Dart entered production as a full-size vehicle because, well, it was the early 60s and it was the era of bigger is better. That era subsequently ended quite quick, and after 2 years in 1962, the Dodge Dart then became a mid-size vehicle and only lasted as a mid-size vehicle until 1963, when it then became classified as a compact or form-factor car, similar to what it is today. The early 60s weren't quite the muscle car era yet, but it could be debated by the fact that when the Dart was first offered in the early 60s, it had the optional 413 cubic inch wedge V8 that made a whole 415 horsepower, which was a ton for the time. These wedge-powered mid-sized Darts dominated drag strips and, more importantly, narrow two-lane roads across the country, beginning to cement the Dodge name with straight-line speed. When the new compact Darts were introduced in the wake of their 413 powered parents, the new cars left a lot to be desired in the power category. Until 1968, the compact Darts were only available with a top trim 273 cubic inch V8 that made between 180 and 235 horsepower depending on the year. Then in 1967, the muscle car style Dart was born in the heat of the muscle car era. This meant more V8 engine options from the Dodge lineup, more power, more torque, and way more fun. Then in 1968, the engineers at Dodge decided to go absolutely crazy and stuffed the 426 cubic inch Hemi motor that was terrorizing all the other American manufacturers into the Dodge Dart. For reference, the Hemi and the Dodge Charger, which is a full-size vehicle, was putting the hurt on all sorts of fast cars for the day, and the Dart stock was nearly 400 pounds lighter than the Charger. But as one could imagine, the mad scientists in the lab at Dodge that were snorting Adderall or drinking the original Coca-Cola formula could not just leave it at that. No, they had to turn the crazy meter up to 100. Dodge only planned to offer 80 of these high-performance Hemi Darts as turnkey drag racers with no warranty, so much more work had to be done to make these so unique and so insane. The team at Dodge began shedding weight off the Hemi Dart like it was a golden retriever shedding hair all over your glorious 1970s shag carpet. In typical muscle car fashion, the first thing that was removed were the back seats. Then the steel front fenders and the hood were replaced with fiberglass ones to save more weight. The window glass was made thinner, and they also removed all the window mechanisms because that weighed something and weight was the enemy in this case. They even dipped the steel doors in acid to make them lighter for the rest of the car. Oh, and did you think we were done at acid-dipped doors? No, not even close. Dodge felt the stock economy car seats in the Dart were just too heavy, so they replaced them with the front seats from the A100 van, because who needs bolsters when you're going in a straight line? Anything in the interior that was not necessary, and I mean absolutely necessary, was thrown away. This included the center console, the carpet, the sound deadening, the heater, the mirrors, the radio. All said and done, the Hemi Dart tipped the scales at around 3,000 pounds flat. On the exterior, Dodge slapped a larger hood with a giant air scoop to feed air into their fire-breathing 426 Hemi under the hood. They also modified the rear quarter panels to fit the rubber required to make the Hemi Dart actually hook up and go straight the drag strip so it doesn't have a bit of a Mustang incident. Now you would think with all of this crazy weight-saving stuff, the Hemi Darts would be for track use only. Nope, wrong again. This was the 1960s after all. The hippies were beginning to seemingly come out of the woodwork, and you could also drive your Hemi Dart race car on the street. Although it technically wasn't recommended, who was going to stop you? The 426 Hemi under the hood featured two 4-barrel Holley carburetors and a 10.25 to 1 compression ratio. On paper, the Hemi Dart made 425 horsepower and 490 foot-pounds of torque. It is likely, though, that these Hemi cars in actuality made closer to 500 horsepower. These cars were offered with either a 4-speed manual transmission with the synchros removed to avoid the pesky problem of missing shifts, or a 3-speed 727 TorqueFlite Auto. Both auto cars and manual cars had a drag-focused rear gear ratios at 488 to 1 and 486 to 1 respectively. Dodge also upgraded the radiator, shocks, oil pump, and a bunch of other ancillary things to ensure that these cars could be run and run hard. Dodge said that on paper the Hemi Darts could clear the quarter mile at 130 miles per hour and clock just under 11 seconds. Turns out Dodge was about as truthful with these numbers as Bernie Madoff was about his investment strategy. With slight modifications, these cars were turning low 10s of the quarter mile and could even dip into the 9s with the right driver. This world-beating performance made the Hemi Darts clear favorites in the Class B Superstock Racing Series for a long time. Unfortunately, with just 80 cars built and the option to purchase one vanishing the next model year, this would be the end of the Hemi Darts. Fast forward nearly 60 years, and these cars are now some of the most valuable and collectible muscle cars in existence at nearly $500,000 now. Not bad for a car that cost $4,200 in 1968, which, if you do the math and adjust for inflation, means that in today's dollars, a 426 Hemi Dart was just $35,000, which is what a nicely optioned V6 Challenger costs today. My oh my, have the times changed. And that is the story of the 1968 Dodge Dart Hemi LO23. If you enjoyed this video, we would greatly appreciate if you could drop a like and share this video with other enthusiasts. Also, make sure to subscribe to the Rare Cars channel and smash the notification bell for more documentary-style videos just like this one on the world's most interesting cars. Until next time, enthusiasts.